fellow neighbors that make up North Meadow Village. We all know that we are living in very weird and difficult times. Well, unless you were playing a board game and you got sucked into a jungle and you were released 26 years later. But that rarely ever happens. Amidst this pandemic, we have all had to quarantine, wear masks, and socially distance. Just yesterday, I was playing soccer with my brother in the street. My brother, with his great aim, sent the ball flying into the backyard. The only natural thing to do was to run after it. We all know we live in a trailer park, so we don't have any fences. Our backyard may be Richard's front yard. I ran after the ball, and I felt something squishy under my shoe. We recently had neighbors move into the house next door who have a dog that looks more like a big rat. I had realized I had just stepped in dog poop. I wiped it off in the grass and was glad that at least it didn't get on the ball, and kept playing with my brother. When we came back in, after the mosquitoes had the biggest feast of their lives, I found myself thinking about my stinking new neighbors. I realized that a small event had me thinking about a global scale issue that affects every single one of us. We have become so anxious about ourselves that we forget about others during these trying times. That is why I have called this neighborhood meeting. Not to diss on the neighbors, but so that together we will stomp on the causes, wipe off the effects, and clean up with some solutions to this issue. The stinky truth is, we can see that not only the neighbors are the only ones who are thinking about themselves. We see people running around without masks in the grocery store, getting into fist fights over Clorox wipes, and crying because they just want to eat inside Chuck E. Cheese. I believe this selfishness is happening for two main reasons. The leading cause is fear. Fear that we won't be able to take care of ourselves or fend for ourselves. In an article written by CNN on March 9th, 2020, Stephen Taylor, a clinical psychologist, says, "The novel coronavirus scares people because it's new, and there's a lot about it that's still unknown. When people hear conflicting messages about the risk it poses and how seriously they should prepare for it, they tend to resort to the extreme." An article written by the Huffington Post on May 21st, 2020, Kimberly Johnson, an assistant professor of clinical health counseling in New York, says, "The early optimism and community support begins to erode as the mind and body struggle to manage the persistent stress and sense of being out of control. We can see that anxiety can be a segue into fear, and we can see that fear often causes us to act irrationally and in ways we wouldn't have otherwise acted." The second cause to this selfishness issue is confusion over whether putting yourself first is selfish or smart. India Times wrote an article on June 17th, 2020. It points out that we are stressed, resources are scarce, and on some level, people are acting selfish just to survive. If one of the neighbor runs out of animal crackers here in North Meadow Village, and they go to the store, and the man beside them takes the last bag of animal crackers, we may view them as selfish. The thing is, we don't know the situation of the other people. All of a sudden, we go into a Gollum mode, where we want what we want, and if we finally get what we want, we don't want anyone to come near us. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these days I hear someone say, "My precious," when they find a box of Clorox wipes. The first effect of this issue, I have found, is that if people aren't identifying with the people the disease is impacting, we are less likely to be careful. This causes us to act in self-preservation rather than community preservation. An article written by Brainsway.com says, "A cultural heritage of personal freedom and individualism has seemingly contributed to the stockpiling necessities, leading to shortages in basic food and hygiene items. This can be seen not only in the instance of the coronavirus, but in life in general. If we're as chubby as a Pillsbury Doughboy, or you're as slender as Jack Skellington, or you're black, white, green, or you speak Spanish or French, or you have the expensive AirPods or the cheap Dollar Tree earbuds that always breaks and only one side works, we will always be judged by someone. I will tell you something that in my long life I have found to be a constant. Well, besides change. Take that, Heraclitus. Not everyone likes you. You may not always be fully accepted in a group, and that's okay. The only person who needs to accept you is you. But you have a duty. To be considerate of all the people around you, not just yourself. The second effect of this issue is called the fear contagion effect. People being social creatures, we look to each other for cues for what is safe and what is dangerous. Previously cited Stephen Taylor says, when you see someone in the store panic buying, that can cause a fear contagion effect. Essentially, when people act in fear, it causes others to act the same. I remember when I went to Walmart and saw mothers buying boxes and boxes of diapers, looking like they were constructing the Eiffel Tower of diapers. I kind of panicked. I told my mom we had to buy diapers for my little sister, and she said we also had to leave some for the other people. I didn't understand why my mom was only buying a single box of diapers, when all around me I could see people looking like they were playing Tetris, trying to see where they could fit in another roll of toilet paper or another box of diapers. Now I see that my mom was being courteous to the other people. I came up with 2 solutions. The first solution is empathy. Not sympathy, empathy. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, empathy is the act of understanding, being aware, and being sensitive to the feelings, thoughts, and experiences of another. In the example above, we can see someone who is empathetic says, "It's too bad these people won't be able to get diapers," and leave some for the other people. Whereas someone who is sympathetic says, "It's too bad the other people won't be able to get diapers," and they buy 7 boxes. And the thing is, they don't even have kids! We have to learn to view the world through the lens of others. We have to put on our empathy glasses on and start caring about other people. The second solution is to follow the guidelines of public health officials. During a town hall meeting in Miami, Florida, on October 5th, 2020, President-elect Joe Biden said, "I view wearing this mask not so much protecting me, but as a patriotic responsibility. All the tough guys say, 'I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not afraid.' Well, be afraid for your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, your neighbor, or your coworker. That's who you're protecting having this mask on, and it should be viewed as a patriotic duty to protect those around you." And while this isn't a speech about politics, I know we all want to promote the safety and well-being within our communities. Wearing a mask is not a question about protecting yourself, it is a question about protecting others. It's like double dipping in the hummus. You just don't do it because it's the right thing to do. So today we've seen what is causing us to act selfishly amidst these trying times. We've talked about some solutions, empathy, and following government rules. Thank you for having me today, neighbors of North Meadow Village. I know you guys have a lot on your hands. You guys have to follow up on the situation of the possum invasion, as well as obviously talking to my new neighbors about their crappy problem. I know that if we all come together, then we will make this neighborhood a better place, and it will be a beautiful day in the neighborhood.